Hello and welcome to my channel. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and for that I'm going to make a delicious red velvet cream cheese strawberry cake. The cake is going to be a small one. I'm going to use a 15 cm baking ring, which are 6 inches. So we start with the red velvet cake, and for that I sift the flour, the cocoa powder and the baking powder first. Then I put in half a teaspoon of salt and mix the dry ingredients together. The cake crumbs are going to be baked in a separate cake form, and for that I used a glass which is heat resistant, and the inside I brushed with a little bit of butter and powdered it with flour. So first I put in the mixing bowl the butter and the sugar, and I mix that up for about 10 minutes until the mixture gets a nice pale yellow color. After 10 minutes I put in the eggs one by one, and I let each one of them be incorporated for about 30 seconds or so before I put in the next one. On a side note, butter and eggs both have room temperature. So now I mix the wet ingredients, which is buttermilk, vinegar, sunflower oil and some red food coloring. The vinegar is reacting to the cocoa powder, and that really makes the red color pop. So when I put the red color into the white buttermilk, it looks really pinkish. This is going to change as soon as I put in the dry ingredients. So now I put in the buttermilk, and as you can see, the eggs react to the vinegar and the cake batter gets a little flaky, but this is just temporary, so nothing to be worried about. As soon as you put in the dry ingredients, the cake batter gets silky and smooth again. I put in the dry ingredients spoon by spoon, not all at once, just to give the cake batter time to incorporate the dry ingredients. And what you should know, this cake batter shouldn't be overmixed, because as soon as the dry ingredients get incorporated, the cake batter tends to go sticky, and that's what happens when you overmix. So I take 3 tablespoons and put it in the prepared small baking form, and these are going to be our cake crumbs. So here you can see how the color had changed to kind of a reddish brown because of the cocoa powder, but this is going to change once more while the cake is baking. That should turn into a deep, dark, rich red. Our cake is going to be baked at 170 degrees of Celsius or 340 Fahrenheit for 45 to 50 minutes. So now the cake is done and I let it cool down completely. So for our cream cheese frosting, I mix butter, powdered sugar, cream cheese and quark. I start with the powdered sugar and the butter, and I mix that up for about 10 minutes until the color turns pale yellow. If you don't find quark in your local grocery store, then you can replace it with farmer's cheese, dry curd cheese, cottage cheese, or you replace it with cream cheese. So that is what the butter looks like after 10 minutes, and now I can fill in the cream cheese and the quark. The reason why I use quark in the first place is purely because of the fat content. The fat content of quark is between 20 and 40%, which is way lower than the fat content of cream cheese. So our cream cheese frosting is done, and as you can see, we have a really nice smooth texture. And now I just take the cream into the fridge and let it chill. So here I have my mini cake, and I put it into the mixer and make some cake crumbs. So what do you think about the color? Isn't it beautiful? It's a nice deep dark rich red, and the cake is going to be stunning. So my cake has been cooled down completely, and now I can take the cake ring off, and it looks really fantastic. I'm going to divide the cake in 3 equal layers. And for that I just cut it with a knife about 1 inch deep, and then I'm taking a twine and I put that in the cut line I just made, and I cross it and pull, and that is going to sever the cake. So my cream cheese frosting chilled for about an hour, and before I use it, I whisk it up briefly to make it nice and creamy again. So here comes my first layer, and I keep it in place by putting some cream on the cake plate. The first cream layer is about 1/3 of the frosting, and I make sure that the cream layer is as thick as the cake layer. You don't have to be that accurate because it's not going to be a naked cake. To smooth the edges, I'm using a dough card, and that gives me the most control. I fill a piping bag with the rest of the cream and make some dots around the cake to mark the edges, because the middle is going to be filled with a strawberry puree. After that, the cake goes back into the fridge and chills for about 2 hours. So the last thing left to do is the strawberry puree. For that, I just blend frozen strawberries, which I have thawed, and I put in some lemon juice for a little bit more freshness. I want my strawberry puree to be soft and smooth and silky and creamy and not jelly at all, and that's why I'm using a jam sugar which contains pectin as a gelling agent. The ratio is 2 parts of strawberries and 1 part of sugar. So everything needs to boil up for about 3 minutes, and then the gelling process is getting started. And I just make a test here on a small plate. And then I put the hot strawberry puree immediately on the cake, because when you wait, it starts gelling up and then you can't get the puree smoothed out. If that happens to you, just put the puree back on the stove, heat it up again, and then it gets liquid again. So now it's time for decoration. I take my cake crumbs and my dough card and cover the sides. And for detailed work you can use a spatula, or I use here a palette knife. So now finally it's time to see how it looks like on the inside and how it tastes like. Wow, doesn't this cake just look amazing? The colors are really beautiful. And that much I can tell you, it really tastes yummy. The perfect cake for Valentine's Day. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I wish you a very nice Valentine's Day. Much love. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.